Okay. Hi, friends. Just put that in there.
Welcome back to Modern Homestead Alaska and Sunday dinner. Erin is helping me in the kitchen today, and we are making homemade birria tacos along with Erin makes his avocado salsa. We make homemade Mexican rice and refried beans, as well as a fantastic dessert and appetizer. So won't you join us? Let's just get right into it. I started out with a couple of roasts. These are about 3 pounds a piece. I doubled the recipe. We have a big family. We like lots of leftovers. And believe it or not, every bit of this got ate within a day or so. So 6 pounds of roast. And so I cube it up. It's going to go low and slow on the wood cook stove all afternoon and make it just simple for us to get a bunch of other stuff done around the house. But first thing in the morning, we are getting the meat chopped up and cubed, and then we are going to start searing it on the wood cook stove. It is simply seasoned with salt and pepper, and then Erin's going to do the cook stove work. To sear up meat like this, you just want to throw a couple of tablespoons in a heavy pan on medium-high heat. You want to get the oil to almost where it's silky and rippling, and you can see from the fire that this is a hot fire. We are burning hot on the wood cook stove today. We throw the meat in on a single layer. It takes quite a while to do the whole 6 pounds this way. However, you let it go 3, 4, 5 minutes per side, and then you roll the meat around. And then even if it was a big roast, you would use this same technique to sear up the meat. While the meat is searing, I am going to dry roast some whole spices on the wood stove. And then I'm just going to take a cast iron pan, something preferably that first pan I put it back because it has a little more oil in it than what I would like. Because of the use of that pan, we use it for eggs and things like that. So it's a little more oiled up than my other pan. So anyway, I am just going to dry roast some whole spices on the wood cook stove. If you're interested in these recipes, I got it off of Pinterest, but I will tell you, we do not put the cinnamon or the clove in. So I'll leave the link in the description. However, just so you know, we did not. We've tried it with the cinnamon and clove. We don't like it that way, and so I don't use those. So after a few minutes, I pull the spices off. Erin has gotten all 6 pounds of the meat seared up. It's in a bowl, and then in the fat, I add maybe a tablespoon more of a good cooking oil, and then I put the onion in, and we're going to get all of those bits off the bottom of the pan as the onions start to sweat out. They will lift all of that goodness off of the bottom, and you can see now the fire has come down quite a bit, and so we need to crank the fire back up for the next step. I'm a little bit sad. Our grocery store, I'm not sure if it's a snowstorm or just the time of the year, we could not get any fresh garlic. And so much to my disappointment, the best I could do was this already pre-processed garlic. And so I just got some organic, hoping that the flavor is a little bit better than some of the other jarred garlic. It turned out fine, no big deal, but it by all means was not what we had hoped. The other ingredients going low and slow in this pan over time in a minute after we get it all blended together. So it calls for Roma tomatoes. I was able to get some fresh cherry tomatoes. There's a ton of dried peppers, different kinds of dried peppers in there, as well as some bay leaves and some other good seasonings. And then I'm gonna mix all of that in the pan with the garlic and onions that we have sweated down. And then to that, you start adding, first you're gonna put all of those whole spices back in. The only spices that we are not going to grind into the liquid or a paste, if you will, is going to be the bay leaves. We're going to pick those out before we puree everything. But we're going to use some beef broth with all of the peppers and onions and those sort of things. And we are going to let the peppers rehydrate, because these are all those dried Mexican chilies. And as soon as they rehydrate some, we're going to let this go on the stovetop for about 10 minutes with about half of the total liquid. You see that lever on the side of the stove that I keep messing with? I get a lot of questions about my stove. That is controlling the airflow. The more upwards that handle is, the hotter the fire is going to be, and I just want this at a simmer. So I have cranked down my stove. It also is very warm in the house, so the lower the heat, the better.
All right, today we're gonna make some avocado salsa because I love it. And Jessica sometimes can stand the heat, but she better stay out of the kitchen when I make this.
Oh,
so,
what are you trying to say? If I can't stand the heat, stay out the kitchen?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
funny.
we're gonna go with 3 avocados. All right, now we got 3 whole avocados in there. We're gonna go, depending on what you like, you can do 3 to 5, you can go more if you want. But what I like is the heat. So you don't even have to cut them up. I just take the stems off.
What are those?
Jalapenos, my favorite. Shove those down in there.
And
Okay, and we're gonna probably put in the garlic. Oh, now that I got that one dirty.
use the big one, it's fine.
Huh?
It's fine.
So 1 clove of garlic or so. I'm pretty fond of garlic myself. So we went with 2. And we're gonna put in a whole head of my least favorite part, the cilantro. Jessica loves cilantro.
I do love cilantro.
Okay, 2 tablespoons of sour cream. One lime. Sweet.
No, it goes in the other spot because you're squeezing it.
Oh.
There you go. You figure that out.
Yeah, it's not my kind of tool. Ooh, juicy.
I love it. Good pinch.
Good pinch of black pepper. Or 2.
There's already 5 jalapenos in there.
Good pinch of salt. You can do this, you'll taste it to your whatever you like. We're gonna do 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. 1 cup of water. I might hold off a little just to see.
Yeah.
I don't like
see
it
that.
super thin.
Yeah.
I like it a little thicker. I think that's about what we need for now.
I broke it.
Jessica broke my blender lid, so excuse the home remedy here.
Then pulse a few
We're
times.
gonna, maybe. That's not right.
It's this. That arrow has to meet that
Look
arrow.
at that trick to the trade.
Yeah. You let it go a couple minutes, minute or so.
Yeah, we're gonna push down the sides, make sure everything's getting blended up. At this point, we probably should throw in the rest of that water.
Is it pretty thick?
Looks pretty thick.
Let us see. Oh, that is thick.
Yeah, we'll throw in the rest of this water.
Okay. That heavy whipping cream whips it. Makes it real nice and thick, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Let it go another.
Well.
Oh, that's the best taster. What's it need?
I think I need a little more salt.
Right here.
What is it doing?
You push it too far and then it anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll help you. I'm here for you. Let me get in here.
I think it needs another jalapeno. Personally.
No, it does not.
Needs another jalapeno.
It actually is really good.
Of
I
course.
think it just needs a sit.
I am awesome.
Of course. Perfect.
If you
What do you
haven't,
think with the chip?
if you haven't had avocado salsa, I highly recommend it. It's so tasty.
It needs to sit for a couple hours while dinner finishes, you know?
Need another jalapeno.
So you're gonna move this into a bowl and put it in the fridge for dinner?
Yeah.
And
as
I'm
long as you
gonna
only
jump
put a
over
jalapeno
here.
in it.
I'm not gonna let you. I don't want to be burning. I gotta finish dinner.
Now back to the star of the show. As much as Aaron Salsa is a star, and he himself is so funny about all of it. You want to count how many bay leaves you put in so that you know how many bay leaves to take out. It does tell you on the instructions to use a blender, but I'm going to tell you using the immersion or the stick blender for this prevents me or stops me from having to move boiling hot liquid back and forth. And then you saw that I had broke the top of the blender, just that pour spout. And so I would have to hold something over it. It would be super hot. I'm rambling now. But what I wanted to do after 15-20 minutes of cook time, allowing all of those peppers to rehydrate, everything is starting to cook down together. I am pulling out all of the bay leaves, and then I'm going to use an immersion blender to blend the sauce down. And then this is also going to be the sauce that you dip the tacos in, that you dip the tortilla in order to fry up the tortilla. We're going to cook the meat in it low and slow the whole rest of the afternoon on the wood cook stove. So the sauce immersion blended so simply, right down to where it needed to go. It is a little bit thick, but that's okay. We're gonna thin it out a little bit later. And then in this, my wood cook stove has a warming oven is what it's called. That's that thing on top of it that you see me opening here. I am pulling out the meat. I've had the meat in there just staying warm while the sauce was cooking down because I do not want to use two terribly many pans today. So I'm going to transfer all of that seared beef into the cooking sauce. And I had to go real slow with this because that meat wanted to just jump right out and then the sauce was going to splash everywhere. So we got it all in there. I realized at this moment I probably should have used my big blue pan. I have 3, I think, total of these Dutch ovens. One is oval. I have a really big blue one and then this normal size red one. Probably should have used the blue one. It's fine. Everything did end up fitting, but it was very, very full all day long. Totally fine. The recipe does call for a bit more of the beef broth than what I was able to fit in at this time. But as it cooks down, I can continue adding some beef broth, and so we don't really have a problem with it. I did rinse and dry that cast iron pan. I dry all my cast iron pans on the wood cook stove so that we are cooking out or have all of the moisture from the cast iron pan. I did jump over here. I'm going to pre-grate up some mozzarella cheese. We're going to use 2 cheeses on the tacos later. Mozzarella, and there's like a Mexican fresh milk cheese. It's real crumbly. Cojita, I think is how you say it. I'm not quite sure, but I wanted to pre-get the toppings for the tacos done so that I could have the dishes finished as well. I made the best appetizer. We're making that now. And let me just tell you, we loved it so much. We are going to maybe add it for New Year's or something like that. We like to do like all hors d'oeuvres for New Year's, and we watch movies and we play games and we just have like a big thing with the kids and us, and it is wonderful, and this is for sure going on the list. Now, let me tell you what we're doing. Block of cream cheese and a little bit of cumin and a little bit of garlic, and then a can. This is a very small can of green chilies. When I get it open, I realize that they are not already diced. A little bit of the juice from the green chili. So I am going to have to cut up or dice up the green chilies. Now you could use your mixer or anything like that to get this put together, but you know what I have learned on kind of some weird cream cheese dips like this is to use, that is a pastry cutter that is meant to, when you have flour and butter together and you're making a pie crust and you cut the butter into it. And so anyway, I have learned to use that with like cream cheese and just kind of smash things together, and it worked fantastically. So basically what we're going to do here is make a wonton. Now I am going to tell you, when I was opening these wonton wrappers, I was a little bit nervous because I had bought them on sale several months ago, threw them in the freezer just in their packaging, and I had read you can freeze them, and then I had read you can't freeze them, and so we gave it a whirl just so I could have some in the freezer, and it turns out you can freeze them, and they worked marvelously. So if you are wondering, yes, you can freeze wonton wrappers. They're not always easy to find up here in Alaska, and if I'm being honest, sometimes they were hard to find in Arizona as well. So what we're gonna do is, this was a play on, in my head, of a crab and cheese wonton. Instead, it is a green chili and cream cheese wonton. So I get a tiny spoon and put a little bitty scoop of the mixture that we've just made up, and then I use an egg wash. This is one of our farm fresh chicken eggs, and then I just fold over the wontons and then fold in the sides. On this first one, don't tell, I messed up a little. It takes a minute to get back into practice. We used to make tons of wontons around here, but anyway, you make it like a little bitty envelope, no big deal, and then I'm gonna leave them on the plate. I'm gonna pop them in the refrigerator, and I'm just going to leave them sit until we're ready to fry them up. Moving on with the prep work. The birria tacos, you want a white onion, so you want like a sweet white onion. You're going to top it raw on the tacos, and so you want to get, because they're taco size and not like a big burrito, you want to dice the white onion really small, or do the best that you can, as small as you can possibly get that. And then for each taco, we're going to serve a lime wedge with it, so you want to give that fresh citrus, so get yourself a lime. Aaron and I were laughing. He cut his limes the same direction that I'm cutting the slices to squeeze it, and I was laughing really hard because you actually cut a lime the opposite direction in order to squeeze the juice out for like his salsa, but it's fine. It totally worked fine. He's strong enough to run it through the juicer, but I thought that was funny earlier. And then I went ahead and just diced up some of these cherry tomatoes. Like I said, up here in Alaska, in the fall and winter, we get what we can get, whatever is the freshest, or on the right side of ripe, not on the wrong side of a little bit overripe. So there's a fine balance that we walk up here. So I just went ahead and diced up some of these cherry tomatoes, and then last but not least, a little bit of fresh jalapeno. I'm not going to put the fresh jalapeno on my taco, but Aaron most certainly he loves jalapeno. He wasn't joking earlier. And last but not least is a little bit of fresh cilantro. I don't think it tastes like soap. I think it's fantastic. Getting started on the Mexican rice and the refried beans. Being really honest, I make this a little bit different every time, it seems like. I think some key components from coming from Arizona, we got the pleasure of having lots of friends that really, truly, authentically make this Mexican rice. And they all make it just slightly different from one household to the other. And I used to find it hysterical when their kids would come over and you would hear the statement, "That's not how my mom does it," in the kitchen. And we would just laugh because everyone's mom has the best Mexican rice. But I think what goes into it is this. You toast the rice a little bit. Should have rinsed it. I've learned that from you guys. I got a little ahead of myself here. In a little bit of oil, and then the seasonings. Everyone uses some sort of bouillon. My preferred bouillon is tomato bouillon for the rice. I'm out of that. That's fine. So we use chicken bouillon. A little bit of white onion or yellow onion. I think fresh garlic goes in really well. Some sort of tomato. I've seen everything from fresh tomatoes to tomato paste to tomato sauce or diced tomatoes. It doesn't matter. And then seasonings of choice. As far as the refried beans go, I make these also from scratch from my home canned beans. These are the beans that on the channel there's been a debate are specifically the ones that I cooked in the pint-sized jars for 90 minutes. That way overcooks them. However, it makes them so easy to mash. And then when you are making them, okay, as far as canning refried beans, if you pre-smash them down, there can be the air bubbles in there. There can be the issues, but if you just really overcook the bean, then when you get them out of the jars, voila, refried beans. So as far as refried beans go, I think the key is a little bit of fat in the pan, preferably bacon. I'm out of bacon or bacon grease at this point, and so I'll just use a little bit of butter, some fat of choice, and then the beans with the juice go in. They start heating up. It is a little bit funky to record both the rice and the beans at the same time, but in real life kitchens, we don't make one dish and then move on and make another dish. We really are making multiple things at the same time, so that's what you see me doing here. I'm using tomato paste. That was what was available on this night, easy for me to grab out of the pantry, as well as the chicken bouillon we mentioned earlier. A little bit of cumin, a little bit of chili powder, some salt, some pepper. I sometimes will throw in the dried jalapenos or green chilies. I didn't this night. I didn't need additional spice or jalapenos because we have so many chilies throughout the meal already. And then popping back and forth. And I should mention that rice is a 2-to-1 on the water. So for every cup of rice, you use 2 cups of liquid, whether that's chicken stock, water, whatever it is. But 2 cups of liquid for every 1 cup of rice. And I have found on this Mexican rice, if you go over a little on the water, that is perfect. With the seasonings and the bouillon and all of that, it seems to do better with a little heavy water as opposed to light. Now, you can leave the refried beans just straight the way that they are. The little bit of fat and the beans, nothing else needed. I like to zhuzh mine up a little bit. I do add the dry jalapenos and green chilies, as well as maybe a little bit of cumin or garlic salt or some pepper, anything like that, garlic powder, onion powder, whatever floats your boat. You can kind of spice up those refried beans. Otherwise, you don't have to worry about adding anything to them at all. The rice is going to cook for a total of 15 minutes, and then I just push it to the back burner with the lid on. But about 10 minutes in, I throw some frozen peas and some frozen carrots. If they were fresh, we would have put them in earlier, but I just let them steam on the top of the rice, and I don't have to worry about them. And then when the rice is cooked through at the 15 minutes, I fluff it, leave the lid on, it finishes cooking through. And then for the beans to mash them up, I just use the immersion blender in the pan, and all is well. Dinner's almost done. This is a super simple meal to feed a crowd that maybe is going to be rolling in at different times. The rice will stay warm for a really long time. The meat is still going on the wood cook stove. The beans will stay warm. When Caleb showed up, I started frying up the wontons, and we just went ahead and had those as the appetizer. Before Cody got home, she's been at a church thing the last week or so, and so she was a little bit late, but we went ahead and had the wontons. They were so good. We've added them to our list. I probably mentioned that already, but we had chips and dip and the wontons, waiting for Cody to get home before we headed into the meal. To finish off the tacos, they've gone low and slow for 3, 4, or 5 hours, however long it's been, and the meat is just fall apart ready. So Aaron's gonna help me get the meat out of the juice, and then we're gonna move over and start building the tacos. So Aaron shreds up the meat, and while he does that, I am gonna move over and get the tacos going. Practice makes perfect. I'm not great at frying up these tacos yet, and I may change the way that I do it a little bit and maybe just start with oil on one side. But the traditional way of making these tacos is you dip both sides of the corn tortilla shell into the juice that is left over, and then you fry them until they're nice and crispy. And I just wonder if my sauce just doesn't have enough oil in it or whatever, because mine kind of tend to stick a little bit. But then you top the tacos with the mozzarella cheese that we grated earlier, and you let it all melt and bubbly, and the outside gets all crisp, and then you add the meat into the tacos. And then once the tacos are completely finished, you top them with the onion and cilantro and the crumbly Mexican cheese, that fresh milk cheese, as well as any other toppings that would make you happy. But then you serve the juice alongside of them, and you dip these beautiful tacos into the juice, and they are fantastic. Now, I want to share with you the beautiful dessert that we make. Not always camera ready, and so this is also a make ahead. It is a flourless chocolate cake. I have never made this before. I wasn't sure how it would turn out, and so now I know on the channel I owe you guys 2 recipes because it was fantastic, and I know that I now have to make it for you. It was so simple. It is like eggs and chocolate and barely any sugar at all whipped together and baked in the oven with the hot water bath and all of those things, and it is just amazing. So it is a make ahead. 8 or 24 hours ahead of time, you make the chocolate cake, and then we let it sit When it comes out of the oven, the center is a little jiggly, so I wasn't sure that it would set up, but it did. And after it completely cools, now we're ready to top it. So to top mine, I made a whipped cream that had a little bit of cocoa in it and some espresso powder. So it's kind of a coffee flavored whipped cream. And then we are doing raspberries. Now, I don't have any frozen raspberries or the fresh raspberries I wanted to decorate with and not cook with. So I use raspberry jelly. But you could have taken fresh raspberries or frozen raspberries, cooked them down with a little bit of cornstarch or arrowroot powder and some sugar and made like a fresh jelly. Not necessary. So I top it with some raspberry jelly that we have left in the refrigerator, and then I get the whipped cream in the piping bag ready to go. And I space out the beautiful fresh raspberries that we got at the grocery store into a nice little pattern to make a pretty little cake. And as I'm finishing this, I'm going to invite you, if you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, you'll get notification, thumbs up, and comments all help our channel to grow. I hope that you guys are enjoying these family Sunday dinner videos. Let me know what you think about that. It does take a lot of time and effort to record the entire process. So if these are videos you're not really enjoying, I would like to know that as well. And I'll just put the camera down and do dinner with my family and not have to worry about sharing that with the channel. However, because the goal is that the meals are different and they're not typical meals that you would make, they're a little more involved. They're not your typical Monday night after work dinner meal. I thought maybe you were getting some inspiration from these meals. So I really, really, truly want to know honest feedback, how you feel about these Sunday night dinner meals videos on the YouTube channel. So anyway, putting that whipped cream on it and finishing off this beautiful chocolate, no flour, flourless chocolate cake for my family. I hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next. And until then, I hope you're blessed and that you find time to share a meal with your family between now and then. And I look forward to sharing with you our Thanksgiving meal coming up very soon. Until then, I'll see you soon. Bye for now.